Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I'm going to be reacting to different scenes from the PBD podcast. I already saw the entirety of it, but I just want to go through some of the important stuff that I thought that, was pretty cool. Let's see.
We can talk about that today. I dedicated my career basically to promoting this message, teaching Islam, teaching how Islam solves many of the problems and difficulties that all people face in society, not just Muslims.
Facts, let them know.
Thank you for that. Again, gentlemen, thank you for sharing your background. So let's get right into it. Robert, your challenge. What is your biggest challenge?
We're getting into it, guys.
With the religion of Islam. What's your biggest
Get
challenge?
ready for the lies.
The biggest difficulty I see in it?
I would say the biggest difficulty, because to me, I see it from
the biggest challenge and why you can't
one,
accept it.
Faith,
why you think
none
it's a
of us
false
have gone to
religion.
heaven to
That's
see
what he
heaven's gonna
means.
look like. We're all taking a risk. All of us here are taking a risk.
Why is your faith more important than the other one?
Or either one of us
it's
is
pretty
right, meaning one
easy
group's gonna be
question,
right,
guys.
and the other's going to be wrong. But we don't know. That's faith. That's prayer. Of course, we've had great experiences in life to say, I had a connection with God. I had a moment with ... And then that's individual to us, right? So to me, it's faith, it's religion, it's enemies, it's common enemies. It's the challenges that's going on in the world, specifically with America.
Patrick guy seems pretty genuine, to be honest with you. Like,
what is affecting that?
sincere.
And then there's a few other things that we'll talk about.
May Allah guide him to the
for me,
path.
it's more from the standpoint of when you've said you've read the Quran dozens of times. You've studied it. You've written.
I love when people say
about
they've
it.
read it dozens of times because they don't really read it to read it.
That Wire talked about, right?
This
I don't know
dude
what
is
the two
like.
books were. I think one of them was about Prophet Muhammad and
Been supposedly
So your
studying
background
Islam for
in this
years
field,
and years,
what
and
is the
attacks
biggest challenge and difference
Islam
with
and
the
presents
religion of Islam?
plenty
Well,
misconceptions.
Probably the main thing is the sanctification of violence and the idea that God will bless and even calls upon the believers to commit acts of violence under certain circumstances.
See, it's so out of context, right? Like, there's a verse in the Quran that talks about if you kill, like one innocent soul, it's like you've killed the entire mankind, right? And if you save one person or soul, you've saved the entirety of mankind. Like, the sanctity of life is really important in Islam. So he's gonna cherry pick verses, and he's gonna pretty much try to tell you guys, yeah, Islam calls for violence, try to be vigilantes, all Muslims are trying to kill you, blah, blah, blah. Complete BS, right? Yes, there are rules and regulations. There are certain cases where Islam does implement the death penalty, right? But it's like any system, bro. All laws have death penalty laws. Like, capital punishment is even in America. Like, let's be real. So if you're living in a society, you have to follow those laws. So just like I don't want to park at by a fire hydrant and not get a ticket, that's something I need to, follow and make sure I don't suffer the consequences. And if I do, then I get a ticket. Just like that, if you live in an Islamic state, right, and you choose not to follow the laws, there's a court system. It's not the people that are just going to tackle you and kill you and all that stuff. There's a court system, and if you're found guilty for a capital punishment type crime, then yes, and there was no reasoning or justification behind it, you will be dealt the death penalty. That's just facts, and we don't shy away from that.
Like Rashid here is an ex-Muslim, and so under Islamic law, as it's traditionally and classically formulated, he would be put to death.
Wow.
Muhammad said,
oh my God.
Anybody who changes his religion, kill him.
Yeah.
And it's still the position of all of the schools of Islamic
Great cherry picking.
Sunni and Shia, that the apostate should be put to death.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this is not something that means that every apostate has to always go around watching himself, because you have
hold on. Why? Why doesn't every apostate have to go around watching himself? If clearly you're telling us that, we are just supposed to kill apostates, right? So if that's the case, they should be watching themselves. Why aren't they watching themselves? They should be like scared to death around Muslims, right? So crazy, man.
To have somebody who's willing to do that. But those who do it, they think, well, now I have done something that Allah has commanded, and He will bless me for doing it. And me, myself, because I was standing up for the freedom of speech, 2015.
Yeah, freedom of speech, liberal. Yeah, let's go.
A Muhammad art exhibit and cartoon contest.
There's no such thing as freedom of speech, bro.
Featured a lot
Let's be
of
real.
classic Shiite Persian art depicting Muhammad. as well as contemporary art that was from a more critical standpoint. And a couple of jihadis came from Phoenix, key members.
This guy probably doesn't even know what the term jihad means, bro. Like, jihad is like, I know there's a hadith or something where the Prophet said the greatest jihad is internal struggle, like overcoming yourself, right? So jihad is to struggle, to strive within something. That could be within yourself, any hardships you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Praying 5 times a day can be a jihad for you because it's a struggle, it's hard to do, blah, 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 whatever. And yes, in the context of war, there is struggle, there's violence, there's people attacking you. That is another form of jihad. So don't just use jihad to, like, portray Muslims as terrorists. That's complete BS. So let's move on with the hypocritical nonsense.
Actually, the Islamic Community Center of Phoenix, one of them was featured in a recruitment video for them, and they tried to kill us. And so I actually would be also under a death sentence just for drawing Muhammad.
All right, so let's take this from a logical perspective, okay? If you know that almost 2 billion people, I think it's 2 billion people in the world that are Muslim, right, find it extremely offensive that you are drawing a prophet of God, their prophet specifically, right? Yet you're going to say, oh, it's freedom of speech, I should draw their prophet. You don't care about the consequences. Nobody is saying, because we don't live in an Islamic state, so nobody can give you the death penalty, first of all, for blaspheming or any of that. But hypothetically, if you were in that state and it was an Islamic rule and you did do that, then, and you had, you know, you're obviously disobeying and breaking the law. Like, and you're being rude and disrespectful. You're being offensive to millions of people, billions of people. If you're gonna do that, then okay, be ready to suffer the consequences. Don't play like a victim here, all right? Don't do the crime if you don't want to do the time. That's literally what it is.
And for sponsoring people who do, which I did not in order to cause gratuitous insult, but to defend the...
Okay. You did do it for insult, bro. Like, straight up you did, okay? Because you clearly know that every Muslim is going to find it insulting if you do that. You don't try to play these games, okay?
Freedom of speech and freedom of expression, which is the foundation of any genuinely free society.
Oh my God,
Daniel,
free
what
society.
would you say to that? What's your response to that?
Let's go, Daniel.
Yeah, so just a few points here. Number one, it's interesting how we want to talk about Islam as a religion, but the religion is 95%, like what Jake mentioned. It's about worshiping God, being devoted to a righteous way of life, loving your neighbors, taking care of your parents. That's what 95% of Islam is about. Yes, there are criminal punishments, which we're going to discuss. There is conquest, there is war theory, there's all of this in Islam.
That's in every
it's interesting
ideology, bro.
The conversation is about Islam. We focus on that 5% instead of the 95% of what Islam is about. We don't see this kind of double standard with like Christians. So if you have
they're
like
hypocrites,
Matt Walsh is a traditional Christian. There's slavery in the Bible. There's punishment for blasphemers in the Bible.
Let's not talk about that.
Of heretics in the church tradition. There's no discussion of that with Matt Walsh, right? Or Ben Shapiro. There is killing of blasphemers in the Hebrew Bible. There is, punishment for apostasy in the Talmud. There's no discussion of that with Ben Shapiro. You can talk about, other values, and that's what the discussion focuses on. But the Islamophobic narrative is just lasering in on these specific topics, which is fine. We can discuss that.
People are going to attack the truth, bro.
So
it is what it is.
The other framing of this whole discussion that I want to put out here, though, is that I'm wondering, like, this standard of, there should be no punishment for blasphemy, for example. Let's just put that out there. There should be no punishment for mocking and insulting a religion, attacking people's values.
Yeah, that's hate speech, bro. Are you kidding me?
Is that coming from Is that coming from the church tradition? Is that coming
Where's
from
your morality that you're gonna have
Bible,
such hate speech towards the faith?
We see in Deuteronomy that blasphemers should be put to death
according to their own books.
Entice, the Bible says if you entice. Like your son or your daughter or your wife entices you to worship other than God, then have no mercy. put them to death.
This is the Bible, guys.
Without any kind of court or tribunal.
By the way, I'm not saying this from a Christian brothers and sisters. This is just against these two opponents because they're very rude and disrespectful.
Wants to criticize Islam, I'm wondering, is that criticism on the basis of the Bible? Is that on the basis of the church tradition? Or is this a liberal, secular, modernist critique of Islam? So I want to know, am I debating or discussing with two Christians or two atheists or two liberal secularists?
They're definitely not Christians because they completely, in this debate, as you guys will see eventually, they let go of their beliefs.
This is a very important clarification, and there are a couple of distinctions that have to be made. One is all of your examples from Christianity
are from the Old Testament. Oh my God!
If you had studied Christianity,
no, don't even talk about studying Christianity, bro, because you guys believe that Jesus, peace be upon him, is part of the Trinity, which means he is essentially God, right? And who revealed the Old Testament, according to you? God. So Jesus revealed the Old Testament, or God revealed the Old Testament, right? At one point in time. Even if you tell me it got abrogated and now you guys follow the New Testament, at one point, all those crimes in the Bible, or heinous non-justice acts, according to you, that are also in Islam, apparently, right? Without context, obviously, that you didn't give. Now that was revealed by your God. So if you're against that, you're against your God at that time. So if you say, oh, God made a mistake, that's a problem. If you say God changed it, you still can't say it's inherently immoral because at one point he allowed it. So you need to figure out your position and really get, to step in on what your point is.
Christianity, you would know there's no sect of Christianity, no school of Christian thought, no tradition within Christianity that holds that Old Testament law applies to Christians for all time.
It doesn't matter if they hold it or not. The point is God revealed it at one point. So why do you have such an issue with it? Because obviously it was okay at that time that God revealed it, right? So it's not about holding it till today. You have an issue with if it's moral or not. So that's what you need to justify. Don't give us claims about, oh, but people don't hold on to that anymore, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know most of American or Westernized Christians, or even a lot of other faiths, right, including some Muslims, they're just Christian by name, Muslim by name, blah, blah, blah. But if you truly follow your book, that's what matters. What does the book say, bro? Don't tell us what people do. We don't care about that.
As a matter of fact, it never did apply. Even in Judaism, after the destruction of the temple in 70 AD,
ask the Jews that.
The rabbis redefined Judaism so that even they don't teach that those punishments have ongoing validity.
Okay.
So you're talking about something that nobody in mainstream Judaism or Christianity thinks is valid today versus something that unfortunately all too many Muslims do think.
Let me see the stats on that, bro. Don't just speak for everyone.
Bringing up of ancient historical wrongdoing is all very well, and there's certainly a place for that. I've got no interest in denying any of the misdeeds of Christians throughout history.
Oh, okay.
The problem that we have in Islam is that these passages of the Quran that are problematic, passages of Muhammad's traditions that are problematic.
You don't understand them. That's why it's problematic to you, bro.
Very large numbers.
And you're a liberal. Let's be real. You're not even a Christian.
Around the world are Islamic groups.
You don't hold to your Christian values, bro.
Terrorist groups saying Jesus is Lord and blowing people up. There's a reason for that.
No, there's not. The reason is the media overstates it. It's less than 1% of Muslims, bro.
Go ahead, please.
Don't even talk.
Yeah, so I would ask Robert a very simple question.
This is where it gets nice
gets at
and
what
juicy.
The real issue actually is. Do you believe that it's inherently immoral for an apostate to be put to death?
Tell him, bro.
Do I believe that it's inherently immoral?
Yeah.
Is it inherently immoral?
Well, I know this is some kind of trap, but...
See? He's not even genuine, bro. Oh, he's thinking about, like, the future of... If he answers it, he's gonna get stuck, blah, blah, blah. He's not being sincere. He's trying to debate. We're not debating. We're literally asking you a question. Like, do you think, from your worldview, that it's immoral? But he's like, oh, how do I win this? Like, if I say yeah, blah, blah, blah. That's how he's thinking right now. It's just insincere.
But in any case,
No,
I don't
I'm just
see any
looking for
reason.
honesty on your part. That's all.
You can always have honesty on my part. Everything
Stop
I tell
the
you
cap.
is the truth.
Okay, so
And the fact is that, I don't know. I tell you the truth. I haven't
don't know.
thought about it.
Okay.
He doesn't know.
Thought about it. Well, you're writing all of these books on Islam,
how are
talking
you
about
criticizing
apostasy.
Islam?
Tell him.
You don't even know if this is inherently immoral. That's
Come on, bro.
questionable, Robert.
I
Let
would
him
say
know.
that I don't think that it's moral to put the apostate to death.
So it's
But
immoral.
as it comes to my books about
Hey,
Islam, I'm
you're
just
walking into
reporting on
that
what
trap,
Islamic
right? According
clerics
to you.
and the Islamic tradition teaches about passages like when Muhammad says, if somebody changes his religion, kill him.
Bro,
So,
give the
if you look,
context,
for example,
bro.
in chapter 4, verse 89 of the Quran, in the critical Quran, where it says, if they
Yeah, in the
turn
critical
renegade,
Quran
then
that
come and
you
steal them
wrote,
wherever you find them,
or
then
you
I know Islamic
translated.
authorities who actually say that this should be done. And that is something people need to know. Now, whether you're talking about in the ideal society,
I'm gonna
you
pull
have
up these
apostates
verses
put
later
death,
to explain to
I
you.
don't think so, because I believe in the freedom
It's in the
of
context
conscience
of war,
and the
you
idea
fool.
that of the dignity of the human person, which is a Christian concept that's not in Islam. You have in Islam,
sure it is.
the unbelievers are the most vile of created beings, according to
One
chapter
issue at a
98, verse
time.
6.
One issue at a time.
So on. No, this is all.
I still
Let's
didn't
talk
get an
about
answer
this
if it's
issue.
Machine gun
understand
tactics,
it.
just
It's
keep
all
saying
same
BS
issue.
over and over and over, laying it up,
All
you know.
people are equal in dignity as made in the image of God. And so in that sense, I would say, no, I don't think it is.
So is it inherently immoral, yes or no?
Can I answer that?
It is.
It is.
So when Deuteronomy, since you like to quote the Quran, when the Bible says this in Deuteronomy
Okay.
13:6, if your brother, the son of your mother, your son of your daughter, the wife of your bosom, or your friend, who as your own soul secretly entices you, saying, quote, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, of the gods of the people which are all around you, near to you or far from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. You shall not consent to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him or conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death.
Hypocrisy.
And afterward the hand of all the people, and you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from the Lord your God.
Tell him,
who
Brother
brought
Jake.
you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. So all Israel shall hear and fear, and not again do such wickedness as this among you. So when let me finish. Let me
I get
comment
your
on the
point.
passage. So when your loving God, Jesus Christ, who you believe is God, who revealed the Old Testament and revealed this as a law for the people,
We rest
and
our
you
case,
said that
guys.
it's inherently immoral
We rest
for
our
the
case.
punishment of
We win.
apostasy to be
Sayonara.
death, then you are charging your own God and supposedly loving Jesus with immorality.
Not at
all.
If you don't see
Not at
that
all.
contradiction and hypocrisy,
It's not
then
in
we
the
can't
least.
really do much for you.
Well, it's not in the least contradictory or hypocritical, because
Yes, it
that
is.
is God actually ordering something
Uh-oh.
Is
directly.
God wrong for that?
Now, the question here is whether
He's not going to answer your
the
question, bro.
Muslims, when they put people to death for apostasy today, are likewise authorized by God in some direct manner.
Of course, because in the context that the capital punishment takes place is based on the Quran and Sunnah, right, which is from God and the Prophet that is of God, right? So yes, from our worldview, it is from God. It's legislated by God, just like from your worldview, based on that passage Brother Jake just read from the Bible, that is from God according to you, which is why you're saying that. So what? I don't understand your point, bro. Like, what are you talking about right now? You didn't answer any of his question. And you have no response to the passage he just read. You're just going to say, oh, no, it's not. Like, it is. It's very hypocritical, bro. Like, how do you not see this? You write all these anti-Islamic articles on these people, and you're just not a sincere person, man.
Now,
that's
obviously,
what matters.
yes, the question
And it's
is,
not inherently immoral. It just matters what is the correct religion and whether or not
Well, see-
God is actually revealing it.
yeah, if you
Facts.
study the Old Testament, you will actually find that there's a great deal of discussion about passages like that, and whether they are actually
Guys.
commands by God, whether they
He's about... So he just said that was a command by God, right? And now he's like, oh, if you study the Old Testament, right, and there's a whole bit of discussion about it, whether these passages are even actually from God or not. Like, you're so contradictive, bro. Like, it's insane. Wow.
They were understood by the faithful, interpretations by the faithful. The evolving understanding in the Old Testament and the New, and in Jewish and Christian tradition,
evolving
is something that
understanding.
unfortunately is absent in
Really?
Islam.
Oh, really? Evolving understanding, right? Before you were talking about this was a command by God, right? So did God command you to evolve his understanding of his time? I don't think so. Where'd you get that from? What? Oh, you were inspired by the Holy Spirit? Is that what you're going to say next? Like, come on, bro.
Such that in Jewish and Christian tradition, you have the understanding of the dignity of the human person that ultimately made people realize that putting people to death for apostasy was not something that was acceptable.
Yeah.
But the
So God was wrong, according to you. That's literally what you're saying.
At some point, or understood
Crazy.
to be such.
Just
that
drop
is
your
not
own
the
faith,
same
bro.
thing as
Like,
people nowadays thinking they are the
Christians
executors
watching
of the
this will
wrath of
probably be
Allah
like, bro, we
because
do not want to be
Muhammad
represented
says,
by you
if
because
anybody
you let
changes
go
his
of the
religion,
Bible.
kill him, and the Quran
You literally abandoned
says
it.
that you can
So
soothe
that's sad.
your
I feel
heart
bad for my
by
brothers and
fighting
sisters in
the
Christianity because
unbelievers and
at least they
so-
follow
so-
their
so-
beliefs and they
let me
defend
let
it.
Brother Rashid
You
go
just
for it. Brother
abandoned
Rashid,
it.
go for
Like,
it.
that's
What's
just
up, man?
crazy to me.
Because this is concerns me. Do you
Oh,
believe I should be put to
do you
death?
believe I should?
I
No,
believe
bro.
that the punishment for
Thank you.
apostasy in a correct Islamic state is death. I believe that
So
that's the correct. Let
you-
me finish. Let me just respond,
Yeah.
sir. I believe that that is the correct punishment.
He's trying to make an
which has
emotional
been
argument,
revealed
bro.
By God, both in the Quran and the Bible.
Yes.
And for Robert to turn around,
I
and
asked
say,
you-
Let me finish.
I asked you, do you believe I should,
should
be
be
killed
killed.
today?
And I
Today.
answered you, sir. I answered
Yes
you,
or
sir.
no?
I answered you.
Yes or no?
Emotional.
I answered you.
Emotional.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said-
yeah, you answered me.
In
Yeah.
a proper
Listen.
Islamic jurisdiction,
See, he's trying to make it an emotional argument and appeal to the crowd. Oh, do you believe I should be killed today? And he just wants a yes or no. Because if you just break it down to a yes, right, it just looks very, unethical and all that stuff. So the audience will be like, oh my God, they want to kill him, blah, 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 right? But it's not as simple as that. You have to be within an Islamic state. There's a court system. They have to look at the crime. They have to go through all these steps. And once you are found guilty for crimes that fit capital punishment, which in your case it is, then yes, in that situation, by the government or the court or the Islamic State, you would be put to death. Yes, bro. But today, there is no Islamic State. So yes, no one today has any right to take you and kill you. Like, why are you making it such a straw man? Like, please get your emotions out of it.
Yeah.
an Islamic nation, all of the laws of Islam and the Sharia as revealed by God should be applied.
So if we were in that kind of state, would you do it?
Including
I'm not the one that
with
executes
proper due process, with a proper court
Would you do
hearing,
it?
just like any nation of laws. The laws of the Sharia should be applied, including the death penalty for not only apostates but also blasphemers.
You
those who
didn't answer
insult.
me, yes or no?
We did answer
Yes,
you.
we did answer.
Yeah, so I should
did
be
answer.
killed.
We did answer.
I
your question.
deserve to be killed because I left Islam and became a Christian.
According to Islamic law, an apostate like
So
you
emotional,
would be
bro.
Okay, thank you.
And according
Okay,
to the
let
Bible,
me,
Okay,
let
thank
me,
you.
let me,
All right, guys. So that was just a few clips that I reacted to. Maybe I'll react to more later when I have some time. But as you can see, I mean, even if you just go to this PBD podcast and look at the comments, even the Christians are like, yo, what the hell is going on with these people, right? Like, they just do not like these people representing them. Honestly, these are Islamophobes, right? They make a living of pretty much hating on Muslims and ridiculing and attacking Islam all the time, right? I looked at a few, I don't know much about them, to be honest, before this podcast, but I looked at a few of, the articles and stuff like that after watching the podcast. And even if I didn't do any of that, right, the crazy part is, just from the podcast itself, you can see how insincere they are, how not genuine they are. One just makes all emotional arguments. The other just makes all hypocritical arguments. And they both just drop the Bible, sadly. Like, at least have some, conviction in your faith and actually stick up for what you believe in. Because if you can't do that, then don't come on the podcast. Simple as that, man. Right? Why do you call it? You guys are actually liberals, and you guys are not Christians. Sorry to say. because you don't stick by your faith. You're on the whole liberal harm principle. I can do whatever you want as long as I don't harm anyone, blah blah blah. Sensitive, society, goody two shoe, blah blah blah. Oh, neutrality, everybody's good, everybody's equal, blah blah blah. Yeah, we're equal in value, but there's rules and regulations, man. Like, there's supposed to be discipline, there's supposed to be law, and a society without law is a society that's lost. Okay, so it was a great reaction. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to leave your comments, share, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I'll be back next time. See you guys. Have a good one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.